If you're not a creative person, but you're hardworking, then you'll be able to do things through sheer grit and motivation to get things done. And you'll be able to succeed in certain fields, things that don't require a lot of creativity, but do need somebody who's going to roll up their sleeves and get things done. If you're a person who is both creative and hardworking, then you're going to go on to achieve great things. You're going to write the book that you want to write. You're going to paint the painting you wanted to paint. You're going to create the music that you want to create, and you're going to do great things. But if you're like me, however, and you're a creative person but isn't hardworking at all and is a very lazy person, then that's basically the worst thing you can possibly be. Because for me, I'm somebody who is always getting ideas in my head of things that I could do. Oh, this would be a good book to write. Oh, this would be a good, comic book to write and draw. This will be a good piece of music to make. This would be a good painting to paint or a drawing to draw or whatever. I'm always getting ideas for things, but I can never ever put them into practice. I can never make them happen because I'm so idle and so indolent. I never do anything. I don't even know if I can rightfully call myself a creative person, because to be a creative person you have to actually create things, and I haven't really been doing that for a very long time. I've just been consuming. I've just been a consumer. I've got my other YouTube channel, which I've mentioned before, and that requires a certain level of creativity, the editing and stuff, but it's not that mentally taxing to do. It's very tedious, it's very boring and repetitive at this point after having done it for getting on for 5 years, but it doesn't really let you exercise those creative muscles that you might have. That could be my problem, because I'm feeling really, really burned out with that channel. I haven't done any work on it for a few months. And years ago, before I even started that channel, I was dabbling in certain things. I made some sculptures out of clay, only small ones, 5-6 inches in height or whatever, however you want to measure them. I did some painting as well. I've tried writing poetry in the past. In my teen years, this is kind of embarrassing, but I might as well talk about it now because it's so far in the past. But when I was about 19, back in 2009, I think it was. And I didn't mention this in my last video, which talked about my year 2009. But anyway, back in 2009, my very first YouTube channel was... it was something I did and kept secret from everybody. But I wanted to be a rapper because I really liked rap music back then. I've grown out of it now. I don't particularly enjoy it anymore because I'm now aware of the corrosive effects that rap and hip hop has on, has had on the Western population. I can still find myself tapping my foot along to it if I hear it sometimes nowadays. It is catchy, I'll give it that. But the broader effects that it has are, they're not good. They have severely degraded us as a civilization over the past few decades. So I don't like it anymore. I can't bring myself to enjoy it anymore. And, the majority of rappers and hip-hop quote-unquote artists, they hate me. They hate people like me. So I'm not going to give them any more of my money or attention. But back then, when I was a bit more innocent and much more blue-pilled than I am now, I wanted to be a rapper. And so I recorded a bunch of songs, real crude stuff. I bought this cheap little digital camcorder and I just recorded myself rapping these stupid raps that I'd written. It was all really embarrassing, but it was a way to exercise my depressive thoughts that I was having at the time. And that was my very first YouTube channel. But I think at its height, I only did it for a few months, and it got me about 15 subscribers or something like that. And it was a lot easier to get subscribers back then. We're talking like 18 years ago. And YouTube had only been around for about 4 years by that point. So, it was all... There wasn't this insanely punishing algorithm that it has now. I don't think there even really was an algorithm. I think it was pretty random. But anyway, yeah. So that was my first one. That's how I exercised a bit of creativity back in the day. And since then I have made some music, so back in about 2012, and for a few years afterwards, I had Ableton's live program. It was Live 8 back then. I don't know what version it is now, with about 15 odd years later. There have been subsequent editions of it, and so I probably wouldn't even know how to use the newer versions. But back then I did make a lot of electronic music with the Ableton live program, and that was enjoyable. And funnily enough, I even thought I might be able to make a living doing it back then. I was quite naive. I mean, it wasn't very good. It certainly wasn't at the standard of what would be expected from actual fans of electronic music. I was trying to be experimental and stuff. But the thing is, I was always averse to looking up like YouTube videos on how to do it properly, what correct techniques are and stuff, because I'm lazy. I was creative, but lazy, as I am now. All these years later, I still haven't managed to get over my my idleness that I'd seem to have just been born with and can't seem to shed. And I have thought about getting back into painting as well, because I've got lots of art supplies. Back when I used to paint, I used acrylic paint. I like that medium because I like the bold colours. I did have a go at watercolours, but it's too... For me, it's too dainty. I'm too heavy-handed. I'm not precise enough for the watercolors and painting scenery and things like that. Everything I did, it was acrylic, and it was always kind of abstract. I would just paint weird shit, basically. So, and right now, I'm just trying to think of an outlet for making stuff. I don't just want to be a consumer. I don't want to be the consumer meme. I want to make things. I want to try and contribute something, anything. That's probably a big part of why I've been feeling such. I've been so nihilistic for a while, because I'm just not making anything. I'm not contributing anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm not bringing anything into the world that didn't exist before. Most people, the majority of people, they have children, and that's their contribution. They bring children into the world. They keep the species alive and moving forward. And the thing is, you get people from history, people I admire greatly. H.P. Lovecraft, Clark Ashton Smith, Edgar Allan Poe, people like that. Writers that I've enjoyed immensely and read a lot of their stuff. They never had kids, but they live on through their works, and that's kind of what I would like. And I'm not presuming to ever actually be capable of creating something that would live on through the ages or even through the decades, but I want to at least try. I want to make something that will outlive me. Legacy is something that's been playing on my mind a lot recently. And the fact that I'm 36 now, I'm only a few years away from being 40, and it's just hammered home how quickly time passes. And if I don't do something soon, or try to do something soon, it may end up being too late. And then I'll just, I'll drift away. I'll just be lost to the sands of time. And, there's the new thing at the moment is AI, quote-unquote, art. Regardless of your feelings on AI art, it's here to stay. It's the new thing, and people are going to use it. I remember not long ago, I can't remember what film it was, but I think there was a big hoopla about the fact that the people working on the film had utilised AI. I'm not sure if they'd used Midjourney or something to contribute to the design of a character or something like that. I can't remember what the film was. But there was a massive, this is, it was a big uproar. And artists, seething about these AI programs becoming more and more prevalent and more widely used. And I think it's pointless getting too upset about it, because what's controversial now in 10 years is going to be completely commonplace. People aren't even going to really think about it anymore, except for a few stragglers who are kind of living in the past a bit. I think all the major studios are going to be using AI in their films, and the general population, people who have the get up and go to do so, are going to be making their own films using AI. So it's pointless trying to resist it. It's like culture and society and everything. It's like the ocean. It's heading in a certain direction, and it has a strong current. And people who hold out on embracing, or not even embracing, just accepting as inevitable, people who hold out on doing that, they're not changing anything. They're just islands that are kind of peppered throughout the sea. They just stay there, and everything, the culture and the life, it just washes over them and around them, and kind of just leaves them where they are. So, and I do understand people's feelings on AI art. And I think the big thing, the main issue that people have with it, is the fact that it calls itself art, when I will agree that I don't think it is art. It's generated data, basically, like AI images, AI video, stuff like that, AI music. So I think probably the way to solve this in a way that might appease a number of people who are naysayers and don't like it, is to take the South Park method. Now, do you remember that episode where Mr. Garrison was trying to get gay marriage banned, and he was talking to that politician, whatever he was, and they finally come up with a solution of, yeah, we'll let gay people get married, but we'll call it something else. So instead of being married, you'll be butt buddies. And I think AI art, if it just doesn't call itself art, but if it calls itself something else, that might go some way to appeasing people who don't like it. So don't call it art, call it something else. I don't know what. You could maybe call it, like, I don't know, material instead, or something like that. Or just content. I hate that word, by the way. I hate the word content, but content does accurately describe the products of AI generation, in my view, because it's not art. It's something else. So yeah, maybe just call it content. Maybe don't call it art. Maybe that's the thing that most people take issue with, and I can see why. So maybe maybe call it but not butt buddies. Maybe call it content instead, and that'll make people happy. but anyway, I've gotten a bit off track in that. These videos, they're not meant to be particularly structured or anything. It's just me speaking my mind, saying what I want to say. They're not, like I've said before, they're not entertainment products to be consumed. They're just it's basically just a diary for me, this channel. And if people want to subscribe and stuff, that's cool. If not, that's fine as well. But it is what it is. This is just me rambling and saying what I want to say. And right now, what's been playing on my mind is the fact that I want to make things, but I'm just too friggin' lazy to do it. But maybe I'll break out the painting, break out the paints and the canvases and the brushes that I've got and the art materials. Maybe this weekend I'll have a go at making something, just some abstract, weird, nihilism-inspired piece. Some grotesque thing with dark colours. I don't know. I'll see. I'll see what I can slap together at the weekend if I do pull my finger out and give it a try. Anyway, yeah, that's about it for this video. I appreciate you listening to the end if you did. Don't forget to like and subscribe, blah blah blah, all that YouTube jazz. I'd much appreciate it. It'd be cool to get some more subscribers and that. And have some more interesting conversations with people in the comments as well. So yeah, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.